Here we are to continue our discussion of the Swift programming language. In the last video, we talked about variables and types, and we took a look at the int and the double. This is an int here, and then we created a double, right? So these variables were declared with the keyword var. So the first time you declare a variable, you declare it with the keyword var, and then later you can reassign to that variable. So you can give it a new value. The equal operator is the assignment operator. So the value here on the right side gets assigned to the variable on the left. When you declare a variable the first time, you can assign something to it at the same time. So here we're doing that, and then here we're assigning a new value. Sometimes when you're programming, you're going to have values that don't change. So I'm going to scroll down to here, and you'll see I have a variable pi 3.14, and this value doesn't change. It's always the same. So what I did was I declared that with the keyword let. So let is a variable that doesn't change. And when you declare a value with let, you cannot reassign to it. So if I was to uncomment this line here, you'll see that the playground eventually gives me an error message. It says cannot assign to value pi, or to value colon pi is a let constant. So pi is a constant because I declared it with the variable let, okay? I'm going to comment that out again. But essentially, when you have a value, if you look at that value and you think like, you know what, I'm never going to change this. It's not my intent that this should change. You use let, right? And then if you do try to change it or it gets changed automatically, then the system will warn you, okay? So let's define our own variable let. So let's say, my shoe size is unlikely to change. So I'll say let shoe size equal 9.5. Okay. Hey, quick question. What type is this? Let's take a look. It's a double. Okay. So let's consider some of these situations, right? And ask ourselves whether something would be a var, a mutable variable, or a let, a constant variable. Okay. So it says, hey, we're storing the information for the number of cars parked in a parking lot every day. Well, the number of cars in a parking lot every day might change, right? Like, on the weekend, maybe fewer people go or more people go if it's a shopping mall or something, right? So this is probably going to be a var, okay? What about storing the number of units in an apartment complex? Well, that's probably fixed, right? You're usually not adding more units to your building, so it's probably a let. Storing the high score in your game. Well, this is kind of could go either way. Could, if it's a var, because maybe someone could get a higher score later and you want to change it. If it's a let, maybe because while you're playing the game, it's not going to change, right? And actually, some of these might be const also because you might declare them inside of a function, and at that moment, it's not going to change, but in the future, it might. Number of letters in the alphabet, definitely a let, right? Let's see. Let's imagine we're making a fitness tracker, right? And it's going to store the following information, like a user's name. Probably let, right? Let's do that. Let. Probably a string also. Here's a note. Swift doesn't like it if you use the single quotes, single quote literal. Use the double quotes, right? So we'll use the double quote there. I do a lot of JavaScript and they like the single quote, but Swift likes the double quote. So I'll say Mr. Magoo as the name, user's age. Let's make that one a let also. Actually, maybe that could change. Let's do that as age. Let's do user age equals, maybe I should make this an uppercase N there, right? Let's do user age 33. Number of steps taken per day. Probably a var, right? Steps taken equals 4,000, right? Goal of steps, right? This is probably a let, So maybe steps goal is, 5,000, you're probably not going to change this, every day. You might change it, after the end of the year or something, but probably this is a fixed number. Average heart rate. Oh, that's probably going to change, right? Because, your heart rate goes up and down, depends on how hard you're working. So that's probably a BPM. Maybe heart rate is better. So we'll call that heart rate. I don't know what a good average heart rate is. 120, 85. I don't know what a heart rate is, right? Anyway, so that one's probably a var, okay? So anyway, so we use let when we have a value that doesn't change, like our name. We use var when we have a value that does change, okay? So anyway, so let's see, what else do we have here? You can try these other ones on your own. Let's see, define a variable for each use of var that will change. Oh, I guess this is where they actually wanted you to put the answers here. I put them up there. Let's see, types and type safety. Oh, so this is just asking you to go through and use the ideas from earlier right here. So if I change height to 9.77, it's going to give me an error because we had initially declared this as type int, and it's telling me that you're trying to assign a double to it. So we can't reassign. So to fix this, we can't actually change the type for height, okay? Or we can't change it after the fact. So what we need to do is we need to go all the way back to the beginning, and we need to find height and say, you know what, you're going to be a double. And there's two ways you can do this. You could put a decimal on here, right? Because maybe I intended that to be a double. The other thing you can do is you can declare it as a double like this by putting the type colon and the type after the name, okay? So this would make 6 a double. And if I option click on this, it's going to say height is a double. And then if I go here, this is going to say height is a double, right? Let's go back down. Where were we? Oh yeah, so we just did this right here. And oh yeah, I think we probably have another error because we're probably trying to do math with width and height is now a double, but width is an int. So they're going to ask us to change the height of width also to a double. And that'll fix this. It might create another problem at some other point, right? But anyway, so we fixed that, right? So we searched down those errors. I saw the red message go away there. Let's see, where were we here? Oh yeah, so we did this here. We fixed this one. We can switch shoe size to double. I think I actually declared that one as a double already. Like if your shoe size was like 8 or 9, then it might have ended up being an int, right? Yeah, so then there's a couple more problems here. So you should try these on your own. Well, maybe I'll go over them here. We'll go over them together, but you can try them on your own first, right? So let's consider that you're if I'm trying to order a pizza or create an app that lets you order a pizza, and you can see that I have a number of slices and I have the radius for my pizza, and I'm trying to calculate the area of the pizza, and then to find out how many square inches it is for maybe calculating the cost or something. And my problem here is that radius is an int and slices is an int, but pi we declared up above as a double, right? So we cannot apply the multiplication operator applied to types, and then I can't quite read this, but it says int and double, right? So what are we going to do here? One of these has to be converted into a double. So there's a couple ways to fix this, right? We can change this to double, right? Hopefully that'll get rid of our error. Oh, yeah, there we go, right? So we fixed the double there. The other thing you could do is, I guess we used area up above. So let me actually get rid of that, right? So we'll, because it's declared as a var up there, so we can assign to it again. So the other thing is, the other way that we could fix this is in here, you could declare this as a double with this double method there, right? So what this would do is it would convert the value to, except for I misspelled double, right? Let me fix the spelling there. Man, let me fix my, I'll just do it. There we go, a double. Okay, so here what we're doing is we're casting, they call it, right? So we're going to take an int, but we're going to turn it into a double. We're going to convert it to a double by wrapping it in this double method, right? So that's the other solution there. The question here would be whether you intended radius to be an integer from the beginning, or if it should have been a double from the beginning, right? So, you know, either answer is up to you. If you had intended radius to be a double from the very beginning, then either we cast it as a double, you know, or we set the type as a double here. And if we think that radius actually should be whole numbers, like people can't order pizzas at 10.5 inches, like it has to be 10 inches or 11 inches, then maybe this should have been an integer, in which case we cast it as a double on the next line, right? We could actually, this would work too. So if I do that, then this would implicitly type radius as a double, okay? So let me leave this and the rest of the solutions for you to solve. There's a couple more answers or questions at the bottom here for you to answer, right? And thanks for watching.